Hey guys, Reid here from the Bechtel Summit team. We're at Outdoor Retailer 2010 in Salt Lake City. You guys wanted us to check out what was newest and coolest in the outdoor world, and there was a lot of interest in rock climbing when we were giving everybody the survey on the iPad at the Jamboree. So we figured we should come check out what's happening in that part of the world as far as outdoor sports and gear goes. So I'm here with John Rockefeller. He's a product manager at Petzl. They make all this cool stuff you see here in the booth. And John, you actually had a cool story about how you got into this career and into climbing in particular, right?
Yep. In fact, when I was in Boy Scouts, I was introduced to rock climbing, and through that, I eventually ended up working my way into a climbing shop, worked as a buyer in a climbing shop, and eventually worked my way to start working for Petzl. And now I'm actually responsible for the development of climbing equipment. So through scouting, I now actually have a career in the climbing world.
That's very cool. And that even involves travel. You mentioned earlier you speak French, you work in French. That's got to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, in fact, the adventure really began when they decided to ask me to move over to France, and now I actually live and work in France. And I actually had to learn a new language when I got there, and I completely am now pretty much bilingual now because of that. So, because of climbing, I now have an international aspect of my career and now know 2 languages.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, why don't you show us some of the cool stuff that you guys have going on at Petzl,
sure.
and we'll see what the scouts think about it.
No problem. I'll show you a new belay device. This is called the Universo. And in essence, what it is, it's a combination of an ultralight carabiner with a tube-style belay device we call the Verso. And because it's now one unique piece, we called it the Universo. So the advantage is that it's one entire piece that's connected with this link. And this sliding link means that as I open and load the ropes or unload the ropes, then I don't have to worry about losing my belay device. So whether I'm on the top of a rappel and I'm going to load the ropes or unload the ropes, I don't have to worry about the belay device falling out and hitting the ground. So a really great tool for scouts, especially for people just getting into the sport, whether it's belaying or climbing or rappelling, it's going to kind of cover all kinds of different activities.
And if you're a climber who's not so good like me and your hands are constantly shaking, the fact that this stays in line is going to make life a lot easier.
Yeah, and it also helps keep it aligned on the major axis of the carabiner, so I don't have the rope kind of twisting in odd directions. Again, it keeps it really in a great direction, so it's easy to use. It's much easier to use.
Very interesting innovation.
So it's called the Universo.
Cool. What else we got here?
The other thing we have is a cool new rechargeable battery. So what we developed in our product line was a system to have a rechargeable battery. You know, we know that using up batteries and throwing them away is terrible for the environment. And with our headlamps, which is something that every scout should probably have, you know, you kind of feel bad when you go out on a trip for the weekend and you're not sure if you're going to keep the same batteries. Maybe they're a little used, maybe they're kind of getting a little weak, and you don't want to throw them away, but you also want to make sure you have enough battery life to get through the weekend, right, or whatever trip you're going on. So in this case, rechargeable battery means I can charge it. It's always 100% ready to go. But the cool thing is that it fits into any of our Tika 2 range lights. Okay? So it's not just one light that this can go into. So you can pick up a light that costs $20 or all the way up to $55, and any of those lights in the range, this battery will snap right into it. Now if out on your trip you run out of power, it's easy to take out and just go right back to regular AA batteries. Because it's just a little bit of a clamshell. So it works by just taking the hinge apart, snapping it together, putting the back on, and you're ready to go. Charging it is even easier because we used the USB cable to charge it with. So you plug in a micro USB, and all you have to do is carry a little cable like this. It'll plug into any USB charger, solar panel, battery charger, anything like that. So super easy to charge and universal in that respect. So one of these core batteries will replace up to 900 alkaline batteries. Wow. So that's 900 less alkaline batteries going into the waste site. So really, from an environmental standpoint, really, really good story.
And that's pretty long run life too for a rechargeable battery.
Well, and that's the cool thing, is it's programmable. So we developed a software for it called OS by Petzl. And this software allows you to actually program the battery and change either the burn time or the power setting on either the high mode or the low mode. And in doing so, I can actually say how much battery life I want and dial that right into the program.
Wow.
So using the cable that charges the battery, we actually can download this software for free, and we can actually go right in here and change the actual power setting. And as we change the power setting, you notice the distance measurement and the burn time changes.
Wow.
So on this particular light, if I'm at 100%, I only have 4.5 hours of burn time. If I go away for maybe a weekend, maybe that's not long enough.
Right.
Maybe I want a little bit longer burn time. So all I do is grab the cursor here and I can dial it out to, oh, let's say 16 hours. So 16 hours gives me 30% of my life, or battery output. I can apply that setting. But maybe I'm not sure, is that going to be bright enough for me? Well, we have this cool thing called test mode. So actually, I can turn the light on, and now I can actually take it and move it up.
I can see it getting brighter.
You can get it brighter, or I can dial it down. So if I'm reading in bed and I don't want it as bright, I can dial it way down. And the cool thing about all that is that once I figure out what I want, I can save it as a profile. So maybe I have a profile for running, I have a profile for camping, I have a profile for hiking. Anything that I want to do, I can save that profile, and in a couple clicks I can go right back to that.
That's pretty ingenious.
So it's called OS by Petzl. But it really takes your light and makes it universal. I use it for many, many different things now. And I adapt the light to my activity versus the light being adapted to me.